This is the Conservative Outlaw. Make sure you give us a like and a subscribe and share with your friends. It helps us out, helps the channel out, helps us bring you more information.
You've got a very clever take on what the Democrats are doing with this shutdown. I've seen and read you say previously that they're waiting till at least Tuesday's elections in New York City, in Virginia, in New Jersey, and elsewhere to even think about reopening this government. So it's one thing to say they're leveraging power over President Trump and the Republicans. That's not true according to the polls. It's quite another to accuse them of playing politics. Explain.
Well, Kellyanne, first of all, love the two first names. We have something in common there. When you start talking about what the Democrats are doing, this was never about policy. This was about Republican policy versus the Democrats' politics. First of all, they shut it down because the Democrats' base demanded them to do that. They've been chanting that all year long, shut it down, shut it down. Once they shut it down, they knew they were in a mess because they entered a fight that they had no end for victory. They didn't know what victory looked like. They shut it down just because of anger, because of because of their hatred towards President Trump. But then they said, well, we're going to open it back up after No King's Day or No King's Rally because, hey, listen, the base will be really upset if we do that before the rally, so let's open it up then. After they went to the rally, they realized that their base was only more dug in. So now what the Democrats are literally telling us this, they plan on opening it back up probably Wednesday or Thursday after the election, after they elect a communist in New York to be the mayor, after the New Jersey's gubernatorial race, after Virginia's governor's race. They're going to come out. They're going to look for an exit ramp because they know they're losing. Shoot, even CNN's polls are showing that this isn't good for them. The American people have already been exposed to, Congresswoman Clark by saying that this is a leverage point for them. You had Chuck Schumer say every day's getting better for them. You had Senator Coons from Delaware goes out and says it's uncomfortable, but it's a leverage point. And even Bernie Sanders goes out and says they can't open it back up because they lose leverage. But they also know they need an exit ramp. So after the election, Kellyanne, they're going to come out, and at that point, they're going to go out there and rail that they're going to take the high road. They're going to try spinning it on President Trump and the Republicans. And after they get done talking their way out of, themselves, they're going to eventually open it up probably Thursday, I'd say midday.
And Senator, what does that look like for the Democrats who really decided to die on the hill of health care, extending Obamacare for illegals? They'll say, that's not the law. You can't do that. We've all discussed this 6 ways to Sunday. We know that that's exactly what they mean. What will it look like for them? Will they be seen as either negotiating with Republicans or capitulating and abandoning their base on this?
Well, one thing that they're going to go out and say, they're going to be guaranteed a vote on trying to fix this for the health care. But once again, this was never about a policy. This is just something that they wanted to say. If they were serious about it, they wouldn't be wanting $1.5 trillion to open the government up at that time for 4 weeks. Now it's just a matter of days. What they're going to try to say is that millions of people are going to die because they've lost Medicare. But keep in mind, Kellyanne, this fight is about discretionary spending, not mandatory spending. What they're talking about was the one big beautiful bill that cut waste, fraud, and abuse in the tune of $1.5 trillion. And that's under mandatory spending. That doesn't have anything to do with what we're dealing with right now. Right now is discretionary spending. And so what their argument isn't even pertinent to what we're dealing with today. So it was, as I keep going in circles, it has nothing to do with policy. It was strictly politics for them because their base demanded them to shut it down. And you have Leader Schumer, who is, scared of AOC, who is afraid that she's going to challenge him in 2028. And so he had to do this. So after the Tuesday election, he's going to let the handcuffs off. He's going to let Dick Durbin actually stand up and vote because he already signaled that he wants to. And you're going to have probably 5 to 10 other Democrats are going to vote to open the government too. But I bet you Schumer still votes no.
Pretty amazing. In the 30 seconds we have left, Senator, are there any other Democrats quietly projecting what Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania said, apologizing for the Democratic Party and saying you shouldn't be playing games with people's lives?
Absolutely. There is about 4 or 5 that I meet on a pretty regular basis, and I won't mention their names here because I don't want to get them in trouble with maybe their own base or their leadership. but there is plenty of people right now that would open the government up tomorrow if Schumer would let them. But, you know, the Schumer leadership is more of a dictator leadership than it is. He demanded people to follow her when she was Speaker. The Republican Party, thankfully, we are independent thinkers, and we lead because our constituents elected us to lead a certain way.
Indeed, reminding us why it is aptly called the Schumer shutdown. Senator Mullin, thank you.